So let's say I had a wonderful night out, and I wake up the next morning and I can't find my phone. So my observation is that, hey, my phone is not by my bed like it normally is every morning. So then I have a hypothesis like, oh, maybe I left my phone in, my coat pocket. Cool. And then, I go to research and I go try to find that it's in my pocket. But then I find out, it's not in my pocket. That's the research. And then the experiment would be me trying to figure out, okay, well, let's figure out where it could be. And then I have hypothesis too, where it's like, hey, maybe it's in my purse instead of my pocket. And then my conclusion is, hey, I found my purse. And then I go and share the results to all of my friends who have been blowing my phone up because I couldn't find my phone. And I'm sharing the results on how I lost my phone, then I found my phone. You see, the scientific method is very broad. It's not just appears to science, it's everything. We use scientific method in everyday life. But just to make this more simplified, we're going to talk about the scientific method. Now, I'll start you off with an observation. The observation can be seen with the five senses. You can either smell something off, you can see something's off, you can taste something is off, you can touch something is off, you can hear something is off. Pretty standard. And then after that, we have the hypothesis, a prediction of what you believe will occur if, then, and be specific. This is the wonderful structure to know if you have a hypothesis. If I left my phone in my jacket, then it must be in my jacket. For example, if I was doing an experiment on gummy bears, my hypothesis would be if gummy bears are placed in water for 24 hours, then they will swell over to twice their size. So if, then, and the result, how you think will happen. And then after you conduct your hypothesis, then you now move on to the research. Now you would need to use reliable sources to learn background information on whatever topic that you're trying to figure out. You can use books, you can use computer, you can use TV, but please be careful on outdated books because as you know, science seems to update frequently. So if you want to use a textbook over 10 years ago, it may not be as reliable. Now, experiment. This is the fun part. Now, within the experiment, you have variables. And the variables, you have an independent variable or a dependent variable. The independent is what you want to change. The dependent is the thing that you are measuring. Also, in experiment, you need data. You need qualitative data and quantitative data. The qualitative will be descriptions, and the quantitative will be numbers. So the description will be the gummy bears, and the quantitative will be how many gummy bears I will be using. Then we would go into the experimental group. The experimental group has one independent variable altered, while the control groups are all other groups are compared to the normal. So the experimental group would be the bears that are normal, and the control group would be the bears who are being placed in water. Very quick, very simple, not hard. I hope you guys understand. I know it's very simple. If you ever want to conduct a scientific experiment, you will always need to use the scientific method. Now, on another lesson between the scientific method, we are going to talk about photosynthesis. I love photosynthesis so much. I think it's the most beautiful thing in environments. So photosynthesis is a process in which plants make their own food to be able to grow and develop. In order to perform photosynthesis, plants need a lot of elements. They need sunlight, carbon dioxide, water, and chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is actually the green substance that make all plants and grass green, have that green color. And it's actually photosynthesis cannot happen without this cute little guy right here. Chlorophyll is what gives plants all their green color, and it's also what makes photosynthesis happen. As you can see, the trees are rooted to the ground, and through them the plant absorbs the water and minerals in the soil. Water and minerals are then transported up the stem, reaching the leaves, and the leaves are full of tiny spores. Now, these spores are called the stomata. What the stomata does is it absorbs the carbon dioxide that the air in the surrounding areas contains. So, it's very good for clarifying and purifying the air and that kind of stuff. All of this containing water and minerals and carbon dioxide called sap. It's called raw sap, actually. And what this does, this is what is being, transported through the cells. And this is actually the food that is being, well, it's raw. It's going to be the food. We'll get to that later. I'm sorry. I'm getting too excited. So this is the raw sap. And then it's time for chlorophyll to take place. And what the chlorophyll does in the cells, it has all the necessary ingredients for photosynthesis. So after all the water and minerals, chlorophyll comes, and then we're able to transport food throughout the cells. Now, when all of those minerals in water and chlorophyll receive sunlight, those things, the raw sap is now turned into elaborated sap. This elaborated sap then circulates through the roots, through the plants, and works as food. And they store their food in the roots so it can be transported throughout the stems. Now, we know what photosynthesis takes place, but why is it so important? Photosynthesis is important because without plants, there will be no food elsewhere. Without plants, we wouldn't have food to eat on. Food is a part of the food chain. Plants are a part of the food chain. They're actually at the bottom. We already know herbivores, carnivores, and all that sort of things. Also, it is also important for our respiration. Now, this is really, really cute. So we breathe in oxygen and we blow out carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide then gets sucked in by the plant, and the plant takes that carbon dioxide to produce oxygen. It is all a wonderful chain. So just to repeat, when humans breathe, we turn oxygen into carbon dioxide. And in the quite opposite, plants absorb carbon dioxide to produce oxygen. And a fun fact that you need to know is that photosynthesis can only happen during the day. However, at nighttime, the roles completely reverse. During the day, as we know, they take carbon dioxide and turn it into oxygen because the sun is helping activate the photosynthesis process. But when the sun goes down and the moon is up, photosynthesis is no longer happening, and instead, the plants work as humans, and the plants actually take in oxygen and create carbon dioxide. It's a complete opposite. Also, the reason that plants are so important is that plants absorb dirty and contaminated gases. They can turn those contaminated gases into pure air, into oxygen. This way they clean the atmosphere in nature. That's why it's best to, grow plants once in a while. It's best to have plants in your house. If you are in a house full of smokers, plants actually provide healthier air for you to breathe better. If you have any breathing problems or allergies, plants are your best friend. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys took both lessons pretty seriously about the scientific method and photosynthesis, and have a wonderful rest of your day.